popcorn entertainment has any meaning at all, then it's this. Giant monsters fighting each other and destroying everything in a CGI fest. Now, we all love genuine emotions and relatable stories, but once in a while, it's good to go bonkers with pure guilty pleasures. So today we're going to go full on entertaining and list the best mega monster fights in movies that, suffice to say, blew us away. So keep your Fellinis and Tarkovskis aside for just a few minutes, because the kings and queens of the monsters are in town and they're looking to shake things up.
Oh, shit!
Starting off the list, we have George versus a giant crocodile. We're starting off this list with The Rock being The Rock. That's him basically doing all the things a Superman can do and coming out of everything with just a few scratches. But for a change, this isn't Dwayne Johnson's moment. This one goes to the giant albino gorilla versus the giant crocodile. A giant flying wolf also comes in with a guest appearance too, and that's just the start of it. So George the gorilla is King Kong, but he's now white. On the other hand, the giant crocodile has a face and teeth that will creep out even Godzilla. The fight takes place in the middle of the city and everything is destroyed. Thanks to the rubble and dirt, the fight sequences become so dark that it can pass off as a DCEU movie. See what we did there? Anyway, back to giant monsters. So the fight's pretty rad, and I'm not gonna lie, George versus a giant crocodile was pretty well choreographed CGI action. Apart from the end fight, the only interesting thing in this movie was how the wolf's head gets stuck under the crocodile's teeth. Coming in next is the Stone Giants fight. This is a mega monster fight list, so you'd expect the Middle-earth series to make the cut, and we're not here to disappoint you at all. So our number 9 pick goes to that stone giant fight scene from The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. Our favourite hobbits and dwarves are going through misty mountains, and suddenly some creatures decide to play with each other. The only difference is that these creatures are giants made of huge rocks, and their playtime includes throwing huge stones at each other. It's dark, it's raining, and our hobbits are stuck in the crossfire. What makes this giant fight scene stand out is the placement of the hobbits. They're right on the body of one of the stone giants. The giants are oblivious to their presence and they move and throw giant rocks at each other. The dwarves barely make it out alive, but the sudden appearance of the stone giants and the subsequent fight was pretty goosebumps worthy. Tyrannosaurus Rex versus Indominus Rex comes in at number 8. If it's monster fights, there's got to be something from Jurassic World here. There's no other way to go around it. At number 8, we have the T-Rex versus Indominus Rex fight scene from Jurassic World. This one is like a dino team-up, where the T-Rex and Velociraptors come together to fight the big, bad Indominus Rex. The story is short because the action is huge. The Indominus Rex is the bigger and deadlier version of the already big and nasty Tyrannosaurus Rex. When Owen, Claire and the kids can't fend off the Indominus, Claire decides to summon the T-Rex, and the dino fight that follows is fast-paced, full of great CGI action, and basically just awesome. Both the giant dinos scratch and bite each other, and even the Velociraptors climb the Indominus to bite it. But the giant dino is better than everyone and beats both the T-Rex and the small ones to a pulp. But just when the injured Indominus Rex is near the water, the coolest thing happens. A giant crocodile comes up and gobbles up the dinosaur's throat and just pulls him under the water. Next up, we have Gypsy Danger versus Otachi. Okay, now we're stepping the game up. Enough of just giant animals fighting each other. It's time for giant robots to fight giant aliens. Pacific Rim for a CGI-based action movie was pretty good, and judging by this fight sequence, it's not hard to understand why. So, the Gypsy Ranger has finally come together to take on the Otachi. We have a neon-lit city enjoying rain, a kick-ass background score, and Gypsy Ranger approaching the Otachi, grabbing a whole ship as a baseball bat. Nice! It hits the Otachi for a home run, and then the Otachi goes for a run. The suspense is chilling until it comes back, and attacks. It even has weird blue-colored poison inside it. The Gypsy Ranger rips apart the insides of the alien and then freezes its tail, and then it shatters. The Otachi has a few tricks up its sleeve as well. Turns out it can even fly, as the tailless insides bleeding alien takes Gypsy Ranger for a tour. We're almost in the space when Mako figures out the sword thing, and the next thing you know, the Otachi is being ripped apart from the middle. Megatron, Starscream and Grinder versus Optimus Prime comes in next. Speaking of aliens, how can we forget about the Transformers series? When Michael Bay is not sexualizing Megan Fox to death, he's blowing up random things. We can't talk enough about how he's ruined our favorite childhood series, but that's reserved for another day. For the time being, let's focus on that epic forest fight scene from Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Just like all the initial Transformers movie, it's bloated, confusing, and looks like junk fighting each other. If it wasn't for Optimus Prime's signature color, we wouldn't be able to differentiate between the Autobots and Decepticons. Still, this one particular memorable scene from a forgettable movie makes the list purely because of one thing: the death of Optimus Prime. He's like the Superman of Transformers. You know he'll die, but you know he'll eventually come back as well. Anyway, if we look past the clunkiness of the fight, it's pretty action-packed right to the devastating end. And we're so glad the solo outing of Bumblebee finally happened and changed everything for the good. Number 5, we have Godzilla vs. Mutos. You can dread it, you can run from it, but Godzilla still appears. That's right. No mega monster list is complete without including at least one Godzilla fight, because let's face it, Godzilla films have changed the way we perceive monster movies. This one particular scene appears in the 2014 reboot. Godzilla fights against not one, but two massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, or Mutos. These giant creatures can fly, have deadly jaws, and are extremely fast, so Godzilla has his work cut out. He fights one, and then another one lands on him, biting the shit out of him, then he tackles that one, then the other one bites back. It's total chaos. As the fight moves on, the Mutos land heavy blows on him. He's down for a few suspenseful seconds, and then the king rises with his atomic breath. Godzilla's entry just before the fight and the way he readies himself for the heat beam have to be the coolest shots in this movie. Godzilla absolutely destroys the Mutos with his deadly blue atomic breath. The VFX are lit, and it's good to see Godzilla in full power destroying everything. Here's a pro tip for you: wear your night vision goggles before you start watching this movie. You'll thank us later. Mega Kaiju vs. Jaegers takes the number 4 spot. And we're back to Pacific Rim. Why? Because they're damn entertaining. This one's from Pacific Rim Uprising. Granted, the sequel didn't have the chops of the original, but the giant fights were still awesome. Fighting kaijus was so last film, so now we have the Mega Kaiju. It's bigger and badder than all of the Jaegers. The Jaegers team up and attack, but the kaiju still gets the better of all of them. The scaly tails, the blue tinges, and the face of a monster. In a cliche-ridden film, the Mega Kaiju is the best thing. The fight sequences are unapologetically over the top and full-on entertaining. The VFX are also so exaggerated that it can easily pass off as a video game, so enjoy a Transformers/Power Rangers hybrid if you love some giant aliens fighting giant robots while destroying a whole city. Up next, we have the King Kong versus the Skullcrawler fight scene from Kong Skull Island. King Kong fights are generally better designed since Kong, despite being big, isn't outrageously big or doesn't have any superpower. The one thing he does use in his fights is his brain. The Skullcrawler fight scene is one of those moments where Kong not only attacks smartly, but also has immense willpower. The menacing Skullcrawler isn't a thing you beat easily, and Kong learns this the hard way. The Skullcrawler's extremely fast, agile, and powerful. The fight takes place in a swamp, and the water effects make the whole thing extremely entertaining. On top of that, we can actually see the fight thanks to the daylight. We're looking at you, Godzilla, here when we say that. So Kong fist fights and hits it with a bloody anchor, but the Skullcrawler is still ready to swallow Kong alive. Two Avengers distract him, and Kong finally ends the fight by literally taking out the innards of the monster lizard. The tension was real, and the fight, totally badass. In the runner-up spot, we have King Kong versus T-Rex. We're so much in love with King Kong that we're continuing with him, this time from the 2005 version of the film. King Kong's facing not one, but two dinosaurs who are eyeing for a thing Kong has, the beautiful Naomi Watts. It's different because they want her more as a delicious lunch, not as a doll to play with. Anyway, why this fight scene takes the number 2 spot is because it has everything a great monster fight scene should have. Amazing VFX, CGI fights, legit scares, and kick-ass action. But it just doesn't stop there. The Beauty and the Beast motif gives a touch of reality. We feel for the safety of Naomi Watts as the giant monsters fight for her. Every step is calculated and every moment is suspenseful. The suspended battle within the creepers was gorgeously shot. You'll forget for a moment that these are VFX monsters because the fight actually feels so real. From a monster, Kong becomes a hero. And what can we say? Kong surely loves to break the jaws of his opponent, and this one isn't an exception. And finally, at number 1, we have Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, the final battle. Now, bow down for your king, because Godzilla is here. The epic fight sequence at the end of Godzilla, King of the Monsters takes the number 1 spot for all of the obvious reasons. Giant flying creatures with superpowers fighting a CGI battle in a power plant is the most fun we've had watching monsters fight. We haven't seen such epic fights in monstrous proportions before this. All the monsters you can imagine are here. The 3-headed Dragon King Ghidorah is ready to decimate everyone and overpower Godzilla. King Ghidorah is a formidable foe and bolstered by Rodan's power, so the battle is set up to be legendary. Godzilla has Queen Mothra by his side, and frankly, she's the real MVP of this showdown. When the going gets tough, when Ghidorah has absolutely demolished Godzilla, Mothra quickly sacrifices herself and helps Godzilla transform into the nuclear Godzilla. Yes, the God version of Godzilla, coupled with Mothra's essence, is too much to handle for Ghidorah. His heads perish one by one as real King Godzilla arrives and absolutely annihilates Ghidorah to bits. All the monsters accept their new king as Godzilla, and it perfectly sets up the upcoming Kong vs. Godzilla showdown. Monster fights are what extreme entertainment feels like. Writers come together and put together every crazy idea that they have, and out of that create madcap entertainment. So there you have it. Comment below to let us know what's your favorite mega monster fight. And you know the thing, like the video, share it, and subscribe to our channel, TV Regent. We come up with awesome videos like these that are as entertaining as these monster fights. See ya.